Jeremiah 3 and verse 15. And I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. First and foremost, I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And I give double honors to the apostles of greatness who do rule well. Salutation to the men of the Ophel and Sensei elect. This is Brother Marcus out here, ensuring that I just want to do all the edification for the elect's sake. And the name of this lesson would be, have you been sent by the Lord? Have you been sent by the Lord? As the scripture just read, he said he will give you pastors according to his heart, which shall feed you knowledge and understanding. So basically, if you are sent of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you have to be feeding the flock, and not just giving the flock any and any old food to eat, but good food, food convenient for them, for the growing and the satisfying of their soul. All right, food convenient for them. As he said, feed me food convenient for me. All right, which is knowledge, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, and if you are not preaching this wholesome doctrine, if you are omitting parts of the scriptures, if you are distorting the doctrine, then you are not sent by the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. This is the book of John chapter 5 and verse 30. It says, I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge. And my judgment is just because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. It says, if I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. So he says, I can do nothing of my own self. As I hear, I judge. And it's the same thing with that. We can't do nothing of our own self. As we hear, we judge. As we hear, as we've been taught, we go out and teach. We don't come out here and try to make a name for ourselves. None, you're not supposed to do that. All right, the scripture says, Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. You don't go out and try to make a name for yourself. You don't go out and, teach something that, to lead the flock astray from the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, you have to preach this gospel. If it is not contained within the scriptures, if it cannot be proven by the scriptures, if it is refuted by the scriptures, then you are not preaching the gospel, then you are not doing the will of the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, you are not. This is Romans chapter 10 and verse 14. It says, how then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe on him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So you need somebody to teach. It says, and how shall they preach except they be sent? How shall you preach except you be sent? So if the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai don't send you, how can you say you are a prophet or disciple of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai? You can't just pick this book up on your own and go out and do videos, go out on the highways and say you preaching, and then you preaching that all nations could be naked, and there's going to be salvation before the tribulation, and if you don't follow this word, you're going to be burning in a fiery pit. Those things are not in the scriptures. They are easily refuted in the scriptures. All right, that's why the scripture says comparing spiritual things with spiritual. All right, line upon line, precept upon precept. All right, listen, it is very easy to use one word, one line, one verse to create a doctrine. But is that doctrine matching line upon line, precept upon precept? Just like the word Gentile. The word Gentile is in the scriptures. So does that mean that the Gentiles are talking about all nations? Did you look into the word Gentiles? That is why you dig. That is why he said he will give you a mouth of wisdom so that you could dig, you could research, you rightly divide the word of truth. And that is how you would know the men that was sent by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They rightly dividing and dissecting and breaking down the scriptures to give plain and proper understanding. All right? That is the only how you're going to feed them with knowledge and understand them, by dissecting the scriptures to give proper understanding, line upon line, precept upon precept. One precept must complement another. All right? You can't just use one verse, one chapter. Let me don't say one chapter, one word, one verse. All right? To go and form a whole doctrine, and then there are 10 other scriptures refuting your doctrine. That alone proves that you are not sent. You have to be taught the proper way to be sent, to even consider yourself sent of the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? And as the scripture says, that is why many of us sleep. All right? This is the book of Revelation 19 and verse 10. It says, and I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship Yahweh, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. And if you're not testifying of Yahushai, if you're not going out there like Sakari say you're not supposed to worship Yahushai and all these things, if you're not testifying that Yahushai raised from the dead, he sacrificed himself for the sins of the elect of Israel. If you're not doing these things, then guess what? You are not prophesying. And if you are not prophesying, then you are not a prophet. Prophesying is not saying, oh, I see you gonna get a big house or a nice car or a good wife. Or nah. That is not prophesying. Prophesying is preaching this word, prophet, testifying that Yahushai, the son of Yahweh, is on his way and is going to redeem the elect and deliver Israel from the hand of him that hated him. All right, that is how a man that was sent of the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai would operate. He would preach these words. All right, as the scripture says, he preached none other things. All right, he preached none other things. All right. This is the book of John 12 and 49. It says, for I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me. He gave me a commandment that what I should say and what I should speak. All right. So just like Yahushai can't do nothing of himself, he was given a command what to say and to speak. We also were given a command what to say and to speak. And if you are not speaking, thus say the Lord. As the scripture says, what the scripture said in I believe it's in Timothy, says you're not crowned unless you strive lawfully. So if you're not pushing this word the right way, then you will not be crowned. Then you are not the servants of the Lord. Why I think in Matthew 7, I believe verse 21, it says, depart from me, I never knew you, ye that work iniquity. Yeah, you out there preaching, thus say the Lord, you say no kind of things, but guess what? You are not doing it right. You are not doing it the right way. That is why the Lord said he never knew you. He didn't send you, I sent them not. Didn't the scripture say that? I sent them not. Did the scripture say the prophets prophesy by their own means? You speaking lies in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You are not sent. If you teaching that there is a hell, if you teaching that the micro C-hip is not the MOTB, you are not sent. If you teaching that all nations could make it, you are not sent. All right. If you teaching in any other name than Yahweh and Yahushai, you are not sent. All right. If you teaching that blacks only could make it, you are not sent. All right. Whereas if you teaching that the Sabbath day is according to Friday to Saturday, you are not sent, because guess what? These things are easily refuted using the scriptures. They are easily refuted using the scriptures. All right. There's the book of Acts 26 and verse 22. It says, having therefore obtained help of Yahweh, continue unto this day. I continue unto this day, witnessing both to small and great, saying none other things than those which the prophets and Moses did say should come. All right. And as I just did a lesson, the two witnesses, those are the two witnesses, the laws and the prophets. All right. But that is what Paul was saying. Paul was saying, hey, I ain't speaking none other things than thus say the Lord. The only thing I'm speaking is thus say the Lord. Anything else is basically wickedness. All right? Anything else is wickedness. Anything else is wickedness. If you're not preaching this whole doctrine, this whole gospel, then you were not sent. You are not a witness of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you're testifying of yourself and not of the Lord, because you're doing your own will. You're doing your own will. This 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1, it says, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of Yahweh. And how you trying these spirits? Through the scriptures. All right? If you say something, Church of Berea, they search the scriptures to see if those things were so. And if you search the scriptures and those things not so, then that spirit not true. All right? Whether they are of Yahweh. Because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby ye know the spirit of Yahweh. Every spirit that confesseth that Yahushua is come in the flesh is of Yahweh. And every spirit that confesseth not that Yahushua is come in the flesh is not of Yahweh. And this is that spirit of Antichrist. It says, whereof you have heard that it should come, and even now already it is in the world. So anybody that not teaching this wholesome doctrine is an Antichrist. You're an Antichrist because you're speaking against Yahushua. If you're not for Yahushua, you are against him. You are anti-Mashiach. Right? So it's either you get right with the program, or you going down a slippery slope. That's why the Lord said, let them alone. If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. All right? And as Paul said, but I am sure that ye are not reprobates. Why? Because we try the spirit, and also we examine ourselves daily to see whether we be in the faith. Make sure that, hey, we preach in the correct doctrine. Because guess what? This doctrine is life and death. It could be your salvation or it could be your destruction, whether you choose. All right? So with that, hope it was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I want to give double honor to the apostles of greatness who do well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. It is your brother Marcus out in Trinidad saying Shalom and stay strong. Shalom.